Hi, I'm Leah Marie, the Mind Health Coach, and I am here on the Dreamvisions radio show. We are, sorry, I have the whole thing of what I've got to be talking about. Dreamvision radio show, Dreamvision 7 Networks, YouTube live channel is where we're at. My show is the Mind Health Coach program, and I'm Leah Marie, and our topic today is really about stress management, which, as you can see, I'm a little bit stressed because I'm not used to doing this live broadcast on video. So it's kind of different for me, and I'm looking forward to gaining more listeners and helping people actually see some of the things that I talk about. And I've got an error on something right now, so okay. So I'm really excited about sharing with you physically and visually the way that some of these techniques to help you lower your stress can be done, physically to yourself. And I do a lot of trainings in person, so this is not something that's totally new, but working with the computer and making sure everything's accurate technology-wise is a little challenging. So I hope that you enjoy this broadcast. I hope you stay tuned. I'm really looking forward to talking about a lot of the different things that I talk about on the show and a little more expansion on that topic. So the whole premise of this show is to share those techniques so that you can visually see what I'm doing. And so I have talked a lot in recent years about meditation and the health benefits of meditation. But I want to back up a moment because I want to talk about stress and how it affects our lives and how things are really, it's important how we manage that stress every moment. And it's important to realize that when you have stressful thinking, when you are experiencing the emotions that go along with that stress, you're doing damage to your body. You're actually physically damaging your organs, and you're putting in inflammation. Like, there's inflammation that happens as a result of stressful thoughts. And it's a chain reaction from when you're having that stressful thought, your perception on that stressful thought in how it interacts with your body. Like, your brain starts to send things out to your body to manage how you are perceiving the threat, or maybe it doesn't appear to be a threat to you. So it's kind of like you have to realize that when you're feeling chronic stress, when you're constantly building up everything, and they say that like 90% of the things that we think could happen don't actually happen. So it's important to realize that most of these things that you're building up this energy of fear around aren't actually going to occur. It's actually your mind is kind of building it up, and you're creating a scenario in your body which could actually result in more harm than good. And isn't that where you want to stay away from, especially if your hypervigilance is kind of in place? You want to actually prevent harm to yourself. So just that alone, knowing that your perception on your reality and how you perceive the events that go around you, and how you perceive what if, or how about if I did this, or this could happen to me, or this could happen to my family, or this could happen to my job. All of those factors, if you're constantly going to the negative viewpoint, which is human beings, we're kind of at that predisposition because of our time in primitive life where we had to kind of be very aware, and that's how we evolved. I think I just heard recently a good analogy was to always think that there was a lion or a bear in the forest was better than to not think about a lion or bear and think you're okay. Those that always thought that they were okay would actually not be prepared, and they might be eaten by the bear or the lion in the forest, or on the savannah. So the thing that brings us to is that was the way humans evolved. That's the way we evolved as humans. But now, we do have to take safety precautions and make sure you never know when something can happen that you can be putting yourself in danger. You might be in an area that you could be attacked, you could be robbed. There are lots of things that are real that could happen. But the main thing that we have to do is make sure that we aren't blowing up situations. Like, what if I can't function in the right way to create more wealth in my life? Or what if I can't even cover my bills? Or what if I get sick? Or what if I can't afford my children's college expenses? I've been there. I know how all of those things are. They're a choice in a way to think about, or it could be a reality. But in the moment is very important, because if it's not affecting you right in this moment, then it's more just your visualization of where you're bringing yourself to. So if you're always stressed, if you're always thinking about money, I know a couple people in my life that are, they limit themselves from doing anything because they feel almost a sense of guilt if they go forward and take a vacation, or if they are, thinking they're spending too much money on something. They'll feel a lot of guilt. They won't go out to eat. No, I'm not saying you just go spend, and not be cognizant of your own ability and budget. But, some of these things are so important. Some people are even reluctant to give themselves care that's for free. So it's like they have a guilt if they're going to take time away from what they focus on as money creating time and go for a walk. Now that's just plain self-care, and that is just stress management. We really, as humans, need to connect with our outer world of nature. And, it's all harmonious. It's all part of who we are. And, when we come into this world, we're working in harmony with plant life. I have a great meditation, which I plan on doing a quick meditation at the end of this show, focused on that, because I just love this meditation. It's called my cleansing meditation. It's available with nice music and ambiance, and so I call it a mooditation. That's what I do for meditations, is mooditations. And this particular one focuses on our relationship with our universe, with plant life, with flowers and anything that's growing out there that's using carbon dioxide, which is what we produce. We produce carbon dioxide. I read a statistic the other day that we have about 21,600 breaths in one day. I think that's accurate. I don't have the facts right in front of me, but it was something I heard about a week ago, and I thought that was so interesting, because in a day's time, we are breathing over 21,000 times, almost 22,000 times out nourishment to our vegetation and the plants and anything that uses carbon dioxide, which is, most of the plant life around us, that's giving us a gift back of oxygen. And I just love that relationship. I think it's so important. And, I love going out. I have some woods that I love to go out into in many different areas. There's so many woods that I really, really enjoy and appreciate. And I kind of always really, when I'm out exploring a new trail, I'll find a tree and create a relationship. I mean, I try to create a relationship with all trees, but there's oftentimes one that stands out to me, or maybe one that I see that needs more love than the others. So if I visit frequently, or even in meditation, in this meditation, I might be visualizing that particular tree, or, whatever it might be. My garden, a lot of times in the summertime, I'll focus on that, and I'll be sending out nourishment with my breath. And it just makes me feel a gift from that, because giving is kind of like what we're programmed to feel, that really good sense of joy from, and it's great to receive too. So when it's reciprocal, it's even better. It's like an amazing relationship. So our relationship it's almost like a passive relationship that's always there, and we take it for granted. And, you know, it's important that we recognize this relationship with the trees and plants and our gardens, and how it goes so much deeper than just visual. You know, this is really a nurturing amongst us, and not only a nurturing of the exchange of, you know, the elements of air, what is contained in carbon dioxide and in oxygen. It's not only about that reciprocation, but also about that it sometimes provides shade for you, right? Or it just the experience of looking at a particular tree or plant or flower, it brings you joy. I know when it's summertime and I'm in New England, whenever I look, like I said, at my gardens or my flower gardens in my backyard in particular, every time I walk out my back door, I see my little Buddha statue, and I see beautiful roses and, you know, other colors, and just like I have such a sense of joy and fulfillment from just walking out my door every time and just seeing that as I go to my car. I say thank you every time, because I feel like it's such a blessing that I got to experience the visual effects, and I actually brought that into my a space in my area that I have control over. um, and I added it to my world. I added it to my reality. So we became friends in that moment, you know, and it sounds a little crazy, but those are just wonderful experiences to me that, you know, we take for granted, and we're not always aware that there's so much going on. There's so much good energy in that it's those are the things to recognize around you when you're feeling stressed, when you're feeling like I can't, you know, make heads or tails of anything. I you know, have all of these things coming at me and I don't know what to do. This is a moment that you can kind of go over to a plant in your house. Even I've worked with a lot of the elderly that aren't able to actually get out and do gardens or anything. And what I've worked with them on is, you know, when they kind of say, I give up. I don't even know why I'm here anymore. And I've heard that so many times that it's very sad to me. And I'm sure it would be to any of you if you saw the look on folks' faces, and, you know, they feel like they're a burden to the ones they love. So, you know, a lot of times I've said this numerous times on my shows. I've taken them a plant, you know, I've brought a plant and I've said, look, you know, you feel like you have no purpose, but this little plant needs help. And so please, if you don't mind, I would really appreciate if you could nurture this plant. And it's like the joy, and they light up and they feel like they understand. And it's really a nice experience for them that brings them purpose. And it's so critical. You know, as I said, the elder care population is a lot of folks that I deal with, and I see a lot of people suffering from dementia, Alzheimer's. And, you know, what is one of the key ways to make that person still have positivity in their life and still have quality of life is to ensure that they are having emotions, because emotions last all the way through our amygdala, which is what regulates our emotions. That's a part of our brain that handles the emotions, is still functioning right to until the end of life with dementia, especially Alzheimer's. So it's still functioning, and it can still perceive. It can still perceive. The amygdala helps people still perceive your emotions, so they can look at you and see you look happy, you look sad. And that's really important when you're working with folks with dementia. It's really critical that you kind of gauge what your expressions are. You don't want to be looking sad, even though this is difficult for you to see your, you know, your loved one. If it's a relative having different stages in the disease process, you still want to maintain, when you're in front of them, positivity, smiling, you know, conveying that, because that's what that's gonna be the communication that's left for a lot of these folks. And with that being said, you know, it's important for us to realize too that if we're walking around in a glum state, if we're always perceiving like, why me? I'm a victim, I'm having difficulties, then you're really going to have a lot more stress in your life, and you're going to perceive everything that comes along as a problem. And you're going to start burying yourself into this hole that's going to capture you, and you're going to have inflammation. You're going to end up with autoimmune disorders and other issues such as Alzheimer's. That's been proven to be a lot of contribution from stress. And you might even have other diseases and cardiac issues. Diabetes is on the rise. There's a lot of things that could occur because of your thinking. So I always say, when you're monitoring your thoughts, it's not easy at first, because then you start to really kind of look at yourself and say, wow, I am just blowing things out of proportion. I'm, having all of these thoughts that are stressful, and how am I ever going to get a hold of that? And it really is about setting up a new neural pathway. It's almost like a roadmap in your brain, so that when something comes into your reality and through your energetic body, and you perceive through your eyes, your ears, your nose, maybe it's taste, whatever your senses are telling you, it's a way of patterning in your brain that you can arrange things a little differently. But it does take work, it takes time, and it takes easy, because we're always pushing that kind of stuff aside. We're always saying, oh, I don't need that. I don't have time for that. But if you don't, then these are the consequences. This is life's consequences if you don't get a hold of these thoughts that are catastrophic. They call it catastrophic thinking, where you're reacting, your body's reacting, and the way you're feeling impacts all of what's going to happen in your body. And you can, if you're feeling joy, you can have wonderful endorphins that promote healing. And if you're feeling stressed, you can have cortisol, and it can become habitual. It can become chronic. And, they've actually done studies to see because stress can come from good circumstances too, like you just got engaged, you just won the lottery, you just got a new job. These are all wonderful things that we're always looking forward to, thinking, oh, it's going to be great, I'm going to resolve all my problems. But when it's happening, it does cause stress, and it's called eustress. It's different though, in that it's kind of bringing your emotions in of being happy about it, so that your body isn't producing the levels of cortisol that distress causes, and distress causes disease. So all of these things are important to us. We have a lot of statistics on file. I have some of them right here. In 2018, 40% of people reported feeling more anxious than they did the year before. And the American Psychiatrist Association, they sponsored a survey which did this report. Tensions are running higher in some states than others. And there was a list that came out through Zippia that compiled the rankings. And so you can find this stuff online. It's really interesting. The U.S. Census Bureau American Community Service from 2012 through 2016 came up with the top 10 states where stress levels are the highest. And New Jersey ranks number one. And the reason why is because I guess there's apparently a lot of heavy commute issues in New Jersey. The properties are high. There's a very competitive job market. So it's interesting. New Jersey came in number one, number two, Georgia, 3, Florida, which I found, quite interesting, 4, California, 5, New York, 6, Louisiana, 7, Maryland, 8, North Carolina, 9, Virginia, and 10, Mississippi. The low stress states, believe it or not, are they're kind of in the Midwest. South Dakota was named, now North Dakota, which I found surprising because conditions are, difficult, especially in the wintertime there. And but what I thought about is maybe these folks are more connected to nature. That might be one of the aspects. And there's a lot of farms around, and there's that opportunity to really enjoy that relationship of what I was speaking about initially in the show. It seems like the states that have more vegetation in nature, and farms and that sort of thing are lower stress, and that says a lot. I don't have any information from a study or anything like that about facts on that, but I think that this is important information for us to understand so that we can put that into our self-care routine. And some of the things, like I mentioned, aren't possible for some folks that are sick, aren't able to get out, but maybe we can bring the experience to them. Or maybe you have a job where you're, really in a space where it's hard for you to get out to nature, but you really, that this is going to be effective. And I'm making some noise here because I'm trying to pull out my great stuff that I have. I have essential oils, and one of the essential oils that I love, and it's really, effective, and most people can use this, is wild orange. And, I'm not branding this. I'm not saying, oh, this is the only brand out there. However, I offer this through my website. I'm not somebody who is trying to do that network marketing thing, but it's the doTERRA wild orange. I just offer it on my website, and if anybody wants to order it, they can contact me, info@mindhealthcoach.com. I do have a connection to my own link to doTERRA, but I don't participate in their program of bringing on and that sort of thing. I mean, if you're interested, by all means contact me for that, but more so I want people to understand the effects of essential oil and what it does for the brain. So this is orange essential oil, and most people, like I said, it's friendly to most people. It's not, unless you're allergic to oranges, you're probably going to be fine utilizing this. And it's safe to put in water, drops of water. I mean, drops in a glass of water are fine. I don't do it. I don't really like to consume essential oils too frequently unless I'm under the advisement of my doctor. I feel like that's something that they really need to advise you on, ingesting of essential oils. But what I do recommend is taking a couple drops, and you just place it on the palm of your hand, 2 or 3 drops, and rubbing your palms together. And you can place it over your face and take a nice deep inhale of, count of 5. And you can do that several times and really enjoy the effects. Now, what happens with essential oil, and I mean, this is becoming more and more prevalent in the medical field. I work with a lot of hospice agencies that have actually they've come up with their own blends of oils because they know that it can help the patient who's transitioning stay a little bit calmer, because what's in the essential oils is basically kind of what we breathe and connect to in nature. And what is in the essential oils passes through the blood-brain barrier. It just automatically passes through. There's nothing really cognizant that we have to think of. So people that are, transitioning in life, they actually place it on the back of their neck, and it absorbs in that way, so that if they do have any sensitivity to smells, that it won't affect them in a negative way. However, the oils, if you're having what's called sesquiterpenes, which are molecules from the essential oils breaking through the blood-brain barrier, and it automatically connects with different areas of the brain depending on what essential oil you're working with. So, the wild orange is great. If you're feeling, I always tell caregivers about this, because if you're feeling exhausted, and that's a big symptom of stress and caregiver burnout. And let me back up for a second, because I want to give you a little statistic. If you are a caregiver out there, I've seen it numerous times, both professional caregivers and caregivers that are, family caregivers, and more so with the family caregivers, because they're emotionally impacted by the relationship, but professionals too. If you are in that category and you're caregiving for somebody, it is one of the most stressful things, especially for folks that are caring for somebody with Alzheimer's. It is one of the most stressful experiences in life to care for somebody that has Alzheimer's. And so if you're the caregiver, you really need to be aware of where you're at if you're burning out. And stress can kill you. It can really kill you, because 1 in 5 people over 1 in 5 people that are caring for somebody with Alzheimer's pass before that person with Alzheimer's, which is a shocking statistic. It really is, but it's accurate and true. And we have to come to realize that we're human too. We're not immortal. And just because we've identified ourselves as somebody's caregiver, it doesn't mean that, we should just allow ourselves to fall apart. And I use this analogy all the time. If you listen to my show, you've probably heard me say it before. I sound like a broken record. But just like the stewardesses say on the airplanes, you need to take care of yourself with your oxygen mask before you try to put an oxygen mask on anybody else. Now, the same goes for this scenario. If you are looking at your life and realizing, wow, I have all of these stressful circumstances going on that I perceive as really difficult and challenging all the time, and I'm noticing that I'm tired and I can't seem to get out of this frame of mind, and then it's really important for you to step back and say, okay, in order for me to be helping everyone else, because a lot of us, especially women, want to be so nurturing and we want to help everybody. We're like unlimited with our energy. And I'm not saying that men aren't like that too, because I know some gentlemen that are, very motivated and always trying to help and are nurturers in some respect too. But it's kind of ingrained in makeup with women because of I'm not trying to cause a gender gap or anything, but it's kind of a natural that we are so much more nurturing and wanting to be that all the time. And so with that being said, this kind of activity, using something like essential oils and doing it frequently when you're feeling that stress level reach a point, like, you're just feeling anxiety. That's one thing orange essential oil can help you with. When you're feeling totally like you just don't have any more energy, this replenishes your energy just by taking that nice deep inhale like I showed you. You can also put some on a cotton ball if you want to share it. Like, say you are a caregiver or you have children, you just don't want them to get it in their eyes. They can take the cotton ball if you don't want to put it on your skin and inhale it. So there's that way too. Now, lavender essential oil is really great. And I really enjoy lavender. I don't want to mix up too many because it's kind of, you want to actually take it in small doses. You don't want to overwhelm your senses, so then nothing is making sense. That brings on relaxation. And I'm sure a lot of you are aware of that, but it's important that you look at the quality of the oils that you're getting. You don't want to just go out and buy any particular essential oil. Like I said, I have a brand which I have total faith in because they that I recommend, and I think they're great because they don't use pesticides and they just make sure the quality is really there. They're very great at describing the safe uses and the effectiveness. And they've done a lot of research, from a medical perspective too. It's the doTERRA line. You can find my link on my website, mindhealthcoach.com, and go there and you can look and view the products. And if you want to order it through me, all you do is you shoot me an email at info@mindhealthcoach.com and I'll place an order. You can just tell me where to mail it to, and I can take care of that for you. So then you don't have to go through setting up your own merchant account and everything. That's kind of the one thing I don't like about promoting that kind of sale, but I'll handle and be the front person on that. And so that's one aspect that you can do to bring nature to you. So you're working with elements of nature and bringing that in, and it lowers your stress. Blood pressure lowers, your breathing, is regulated more. Another aspect to work with is called pranayama, and that is working on the breath for life. And so pranayama is utilized in yogic practices, and it's really important. I think during my discovery on what to talk to you guys about, I came across that fact of 21 to 22,000 breaths per day happen from each of us. I think there's something like 8 billion people on the planet. So I didn't do the math, but that's a lot of air going around. And so that's a lot of nurturing to vegetation and plant life and that sort of thing. And, it's important for us to try to implement these kinds of things naturally. I know a lot of people think, oh, it's important that I get the stress under wraps and make sure I get it out of my life. I know a lot of you are feeling that, like, how can I be less stressed? And then it just perpetuates and you feel like you're kind of in the state of it's never going to go away. But there's little things that you can plant into your day like this. If you have a bottle of essential oil around, or if you, do some pranayama breathing, and I'll give you a little lesson on that. There's something called coherence breathing, and it's doing ratio of breaths so that you actually will slow down your breathing and bring it manageable. And if you're breathing in a slower fashion, I think they say, many ancient times ago, they always said that the breath is relative to how long you live. So we're each allowed to have the 22,000 breaths per day. But if you're going over that, you're actually taking your life force away. So when you're breathing, you want to put I can't see it on video here, but you want to put your hands on your stomach and feel yourself expand. In America, we're always holding our stomachs in, and we're always trying to like look thinner and all of that. And I'm sure in other parts of the world too. But this particular practice, it wants you to expand your breath out and expand your belly out with the breath coming in. So you want to inhale through your nose for a count of 5. You want to hold it briefly, and then you want to exhale through the nose slowly, either 5 to 7 beats. And you never want to do it less than 5 out if you're breathing 5 in, because that will speed up your heart rate. And that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to slow everything down to make things feel better for you. So you take a nice deep breath in through the nose. You hold it, and you take a nice deep breath out through the nose. And you pause and you breathe in through the nose. And all the while you're putting your hands on your stomach and you're feeling it expand. You allow it to expand, and then you allow it to, dissipate and go back in. And this tells your diaphragm is communicating with your brain. The nerve that's going through up to your brain will have this interaction that says, okay, everything's okay. And that calms everything down. That doesn't call for any cortisol. It sends out the proper endorphins that you're looking for healing and wellness. So this type of practice alone, if you're feeling very stressed or just even doing it every day, it's called, I think there's a psychiatrist out there that called it the rescue breath. So you just, like I said, I'm going to count for you guys if you want to test it. You put your hands on your belly, and you breathe in through your nose for the count of 5. So that's breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold it. And exhale through the nose, 2, 3, 4, 5. And as I said, you can extend it to 6 or 7 if you need to. And just doing that 4 or 5 times will change a lot. It will change a lot of what is going on within your whole system and bring the endorphins in that will bring relaxation. Now, there's alternate nostril breathing too in pranayama, it can be challenging sometimes and look a little funny, especially if you have a cold or, if you're in front of people. So it's one of those that you probably want to do when you're in your office with the door closed or at home. You're going to take your thumb and you're going to place it on your nostril, and you're going to breathe in to the open nostril, and then you switch over and you breathe out. Now it's like a cycle. You're going to breathe in, and you're going to breathe out, and you're going to breathe in, and you're going to breathe out. So you can go back and forth doing this. And what happens is that you're actually cleansing and revitalizing your lungs. You're stimulating the right and the left side of the brain. believe it or not, your brain is affected by your breath. And it's bringing automatic calmness because it stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system. And it's just really a pleasant way, if you have your nasal passages cleared, to instantly bring about a sense of joy, all of the things I've been speaking about: joy, emotional wellness, physical wellness. You feel calmer. So it's like an instant, it's better than taking medication. I mean, in some cases, if you are on medications, I'm not advocating to just jump off of them without your doctor consulting with you first. But I will tell you that if you do that practice, and you will see instant relief for a lot of stress when you just change your breath like that. It's amazing the effects on your whole body, and how the breath can impact. And just doing these little tricks with pressing your one side of your nostril closed, and focusing on the breath, and doing the counts in, the ratio breathing. And there's so much more information out there about that, but it's good to have a coach to help you through if something, you feel like it's you're trying things and you're not sure if they're effective. It's good to have somebody to talk to about it and work you through it, and help you also reframe things, which brings me to another way to combat stress. And that would be reading something that, really implants different thoughts in the brain. So, have a Success magazine featured Tony Robbins, which I love Tony Robbins. I think he's so great. And he actually was talking about the plan for 2019, how to plan the best year ever. And, it's like we always want to try to strive for that. But one thing that he brought in that I always talk about in my teachings is that in order to change things for yourself, in order to improve things and make things better, you need new types of thought systems. You need new information, and you need different perspectives. And so this book really was impactful for me. And you can see I've got tabs in here that kind of helped me jump right to sections that helped me immediately. I have little bookmarks in all of these types of things. So, and this particular book is great. It's called Daily Meditations for Practicing the Course. I love A Course in Miracles as well. And this is written by Karen Casey. And so, here's a good one. If you're not somebody who's religious, I hope that you can just switch the language for, whatever belief system you have. But this particular text is based on more of a Christian viewpoint. So, as I said, you can always change it to whatever your belief system is, whoever is your higher power. So this particular one is based on fear. And it says, we have a lifeline to God. Nearly every day, something happens that triggers fear in us. People criticize us. Family members don't answer our calls. Job interviews get canceled. We shudder with fear, trying to manage the everyday uncertainties. If we'd only remember that we have access to the perfect manager for every situation. Our experiences here in this illusionary world have been requested by us. That doesn't mean we'll know how to handle any of them. It simply means that we need to learn. While in these bodies is contained within the situations that beckon, we'll assimilate them far more successfully if we seek the company of the Holy Spirit while we explore and absorb them. Nothing that comes to us can really harm us if we see it through the eyes of God. And this perspective is always with us. It's a choice to actually have that perspective. If we're filled with fear or anger at any time, we need to tug on our lifeline. God can't help us ever if we don't initiate his involvement. And then there's an affirmation for this particular passage, and it says, I will have peace today if I seek the involvement of the Holy Spirit. So, as I said, you can change that however you like, but just having that kind of text to work with, that kind of information to work with, and then taking a moment and getting into alpha brainwave state through meditation can help you resolve a lot of the energies of fear and stress, and knowing that there's choices beyond, okay, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to pay that bill. It hasn't even happened yet. They're going to shut my house the gas off to my house. They're going to come and take my electricity. I'm going to lose my home. None of this has happened yet. And you might be already going there. If you find yourself going there, and even if it did happen, I've often shared about my illnesses that I've had, and I had one last year where I had spinal meningitis and Lyme disease, and I was hospitalized, and it's pretty scary. It's scary stuff. I had Bell's palsy. This whole side of my face was, totally frozen. I think I resolved pretty well. Sometimes I see a little bit of effect still. But, as I sat in the hospital and everybody was like, oh my gosh, this is awful. You must be so scared. I really didn't feel fear. I'll tell you that. I felt, anxious to just get out and be out and about again. But I kept saying to myself, if this is something that's going to affect me for the rest of my life, or if I don't even make it out of here because of the meningitis, at least I know that I've been doing all I can in every moment to stay in a space where I'm doing the best I can. I know that I sometimes make mistakes. I'm not perfect, but I am doing everything I can to help, provide for myself, self-care. I'm trying to help others. I work at that in every aspect, from my day job to with my children to what I'm doing with this outside project, the Mind Health Coach program. And, it's very fulfilling. And if you can find whatever inspires you, whatever brings you passion, and whatever makes you feel that sense of purpose, that is really the life. That is really what brings us such greatness in each individual soul that comes here. When you can find your purpose and your passion, that comes the purpose. When you've identified the purpose, and it can change too. I've noticed myself, like, I thought, oh, I'm going to do this and that, and like, it's going to impact all these people. And sometimes I've had a little impact in some ways, and sometimes those situations that didn't quite pan out the way I was visualizing have actually brought me more of a learning curve. Like, it's brought me new information. It helped me grow. So just that alone, I feel, that's significant, because I've made an impact in my soul. And, I think that's really important. I believe in soul growth. I believe that this is my own belief system. And I know there's a lot of other people that share this viewpoint, but this whole thing is the package it's the package where the real beauty lies. And the real beauty is your soul. And the beauty of the soul is how our energy is being projected and played out through this vehicle. This is a vehicle of flesh. We dress it up, we make it look great if we can. Sometimes we don't feel like making it look great, but this is where we're at. This is who we are in this lifetime. But I know from my own experience that we are more than just this. When I had my near-death experience back in 2001, and I had the horse accident where a horse reared up and fell over backwards on top of me, I had an experience where I was still somewhere. I wasn't this. I can't explain a lot about it, because I wasn't meant to be there too long. But for some reason, I did experience what I did, and I can communicate this. And that's another reason why I'm able to, it's not that I'm saying, death doesn't scare me at all. I mean, yeah, I'm a human. I don't want to experience pain. I don't want to experience suffering. I don't want to experience death. I want to always be in this vehicle and healthy and doing well, but that's not the reality. I have to know that at some point I am going to transition, just like a lot have before me, and all of you out there. And with knowing that, there comes a sense of, okay, a little fear and stress, but hey, who knows? I keep hearing it's so wonderful, and I got to touch the energy that's involved there, so it was pretty great. But I'm glad to be back, and I really want to share that connection with everything that is around us, especially the nature aspects of our world. It's just so it's so cleansing and soothing when you tune into nature. I don't know anybody that says I don't like hearing, nature sounds, the waves, birds, trees clicking in the winter. I enjoy all of it, and I'm sure there's others out there that do too. fire. I was sitting in front of my fireplace last night, listening to the flames crackle, and it was just beautiful. It was just amazing. So I have a lot of that in one of my meditations that are available on my website, mindhealthcoach.com. There's different mooditations, they're called. You can check that out. I also want to talk quickly about my book, Create Your Legacy with Mindfulness. There's an opportunity I've got to be pitched to like 134 publishers, and I'm really excited about this book. I kind of spoke about purpose, and I think our purpose shifts and changes as we kind of grow as individuals, and things open up to us, doors open, and we open our own doors. But creating your life with legacy means creating your legacy with mindfulness is really important to me, because I'm trying to get this all out because I want to do a quick meditation with you guys, and I only have a few more minutes left. But I really was affected by a story that was published in the New York Times on November 1st, and it involved Amal Hussein, who was a little girl, 7 years old, in Yemen, living in a refugee camp, and she died of starvation. And her picture was published only hours before on the New York Times by a journalist that was in Yemen at a hospital and saw this little girl perishing. It's hard to look at, but I have it on my website. I have it as part of the story that I'm writing, only because I am dedicating the book to her. I don't know her. I didn't know her. I didn't know her family. I have no connection whatsoever. But I will tell you, when I saw that story, it greatly disturbed me. And I feel that, knowing that this little girl, 7 years old, perished in that way, that painful suffering that she had, of her was probably the only picture that's ever been taken of this human. I just felt so passionate about, I have to do something. I'm a mother. I'm resourceful. I have a connection with a large audience. Hopefully there's a lot of listeners tuning in. And I will share this YouTube video, so I hope those of you that see it after it being recorded will connect with this story. But I just felt so much like I have to do something. And I cried a lot, and I felt quite depleted, and went to my place of nature that I enjoy, and that's the ocean. And I just stood in front of it and asked for answers. And, I was told in my intuitive eye that I heard that I would be guided in a way to help, that I've recognized the need, that there's purpose for me to help here, and that I will be able to make an impact. And so I've connected that by dedicating this book to Amal Hussein and other children that are experiencing hunger like her. And I am donating 50% of everything that I receive from the book. Hopefully it will be mass marketed. And I am donating 50% of the profits to helping with hunger for children, helping prevent hunger for children. I am very upset by that article. I hope it impassions, that those who look at my website, mindhealthcoach.com, can feel the connection to it as well, and the desire to really help, because the book alone is great. I'm not doing this because I think that the book will have better sales. I'm excited to be able to do that, but the purpose along with the book kind of intertwines, because creating your legacy with mindfulness, it really brought me, a mindfulness aspect really brought me to thinking of how I could help people that are suffering that way. With that being said, I need some air. I'm a little choked up about it. And I'd like to do a meditation. And so the meditation is going to be the cleansing meditation. And that's your connection with trees and plant life and that sort of thing. So I'd like you to take a nice deep breath in. You can close your eyes. Take a nice deep breath in, about 4 or 5 counts through the nose. And hold it. And slowly exhale out. When you take your next nice deep breath, do about 5 counts in, 2, 3, 4, 5 through the nose, and hold it. And exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. And another nice deep breath in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold it. And exhale out, 2, 3, 4, 5. And at this time, with your eyes closed, I want you to start visualizing around you a forest which you enjoy, and start to really look at those trees that are within the forest. And if there's any little flowers or growth on the ground, look down there too and notice it. And look up at the sky and see the magnitude of the presence of life that's just surrounding you, and so majestic, so tall. And it's really amazing. Even if it's wintertime, I go out into the woods and I experience this overwhelming feeling of gratitude when I look up at the sky and I see the branches and the detail and just the art that's available through everything that's playing within each other, within nature. And the backdrop being the sky, it's just unbelievable what you can visualize and remember or experience when you're in a forest. When you're actually there and you're hearing the sounds, you're hearing all of the nature interact with each other and with you. You're part of it. And I want you to take a moment and think about that nice deep breath you just took in and you released. And think about where that source comes from. It comes from that vegetation, that plant life that's surrounding you in this moment. If you're, doing this mind's eye viewpoint of a forest, or next time out, and you want to be in a state of gratitude when you receive that breath in to your lungs. And then you will exhale slowly and give out the gift to life, to that vegetation around you. So you're having this wonderful reciprocal relationship going on that's so beautiful. And when you feel that sense of gratitude, what's happening is such amazement to your brain that you actually start to filter that out through your body, through your energy. And this changes. It actually sets up a moment in your brain to have that state of gratitude for any time you wish to. But also, when you take this practice into your daily life and you do it over and over again, the repetition will implant that seed in your brain and help it grow. So you want to take a nice moment and nice deep breath in again and hold it and exhale and say thank you. Namaste. Thank you for listening to my show today. And, like I said, I'm available for a coaching session if you'd like to learn more. I'd also offer you guys to look at my links online. I have it on my website, mindhealthcoach.com. I'm donating 50% of my profits on the book Create Your Legacy with Mindfulness. I keep messing up my own title. Create Your Legacy with Mindfulness, which I will donate 50% of the profits to helping end hunger for children. So please take a look at all of that. You can also schedule a call with me. I have the essential oils that are available online too, and you can email me anything you'd like to be ordered. But thanks again for listening to the Mind Health Coach program. I'm Leah Marie, your host. Have a great week.